Okay, so now we know how to use our selection tool. So today we're going to be looking at some other tools to touch up a photo like this picture of Venice that we see here. So first of all, I'm just going to take a closer look at this, make it easier to work with. So first of all, the picture is crooked, and we also have this outer border that I don't want. So to get rid of that, we're going to use the crop tool. So if you just click on the crop tool, you're able to bring these areas in. Then we're also going to rotate. So if I go outside of the bounding box here, I'm able to straighten out the image. And then bring my crop tool to the edges of the photo, the parts that we want to keep. So once you're all the way around and it's nice and straight, just press enter. Next, this photo is quite dull. So this is always good to do with any photo. If you go to image adjustments and go to levels, you'll get this thing here called a histogram. And on the left of the histogram, we see our shadows or our dark areas. On the right are our highlights, and in the middle are our midtones. And all I want to do is bring this into where I see that first spike on the graph, on the histogram. And you'll notice as I move each of these, what they do, right? So the highlights make the brighter parts brighter. The shadows make the darker parts darker. And the midtones do the stuff that's in between. All right, so when you're happy with the result, press OK. If we look at our history, you can see the before and after. Next, I don't like this motorboat here. So I'm going to use the clone stamp tool. And what this allows me to do is paint with another area on the picture. So I can sample this open body of water here and paint over the boat with that. So to make a sample, I just hold the Alt key and I click once, and then I let go of Alt, and then I just click away over here to get rid of that boat. Now be careful with the clone tool because the target moves. The sample, the area you took the sample from, moves as you paint. So if you get too close, you're going to be cloning something that you don't want. So you can always hold Alt and resample from somewhere else and add that in. Okay, good. Next, I'm going to be looking at these three tools: dodge, burn, and sponge. Dodge tool. Now using the square brackets, I can change the size of this tool. Dodge allows me to lighten areas. So right now I'm lightening the midtones, and I'm just going to lighten a bit of the side of the gondola here, just so I can see the water reflecting in it a bit more. And maybe if I change this to shadows, because it is quite dark down here, I'll see a bit more. That looks pretty good. And again, before and after. This is a subtle change. You don't want to do it too much or it's going to look fake. Burn tool. It darkens areas. So square brackets to make this brush a bit smaller. And maybe I just want to darken these posts a little bit so it kind of matches with the rest of the post there. Okay. Last one is our sponge tool. Right now it's set to desaturate, which means it will remove color. So if I paint a bunch here, you can see that this area is going black and white. I'm going to undo that. I want to saturate just a little bit, just to make it look like the sun is shining on this area a bit. Sun's peeking through some buildings that are in behind. All right, before and after, there you can see the difference. All right, so there's our three tools there. Next, this canvas. I want it to match the blue canvas. So I want to turn this orange into blue. I'm going to go back into Image, Adjustments, Replace Color. With my eyedropper, I'm going to click on the orange area. And you can see that tiny bit that's been changed. Hue is another word for color. So as I adjust hue, the areas that I've selected are changing color. And remember, I want it blue. It's not going to be accurate yet. I'm going to have to shift click and get the other areas that are still orange. Okay. And adjust my blue, reduce the saturation, and maybe decrease the lightness here so it's a little bit darker until you get a good match. Okay. My sky here, it's a very hazy kind of day, and I like to put these clouds in instead. So I'll just quickly go with my magic wand here. Hold shift to get these other areas. And the tolerance of my magic wand is a little bit too high. I lost some of the building here, so maybe I'll reduce my tolerance. 23. That's better. Okay, so I have this area selected. Come over to your cloud photo and go select all. It's all selected. Edit, copy. Back over to the Venice picture. Our selection is still here. Go edit, paste special. If you go paste, this is what will happen. Let's try again. Paste special, paste into, and it will paste into the area that's been selected. Now this looks really fake, kind of cartoonish. So on this layer with the clouds, I'll reduce the opacity. Maybe that'll help it blend. All right, a bit faded like the rest of the picture. Now these buildings are still very, very dull compared to everything else. So I need to make a selection there as well. Make sure you're on the background layer. And then I'll take my marquee tool here and I'll make a selection from the top down to the shoreline. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to make an adjustment. But right now, everything inside this box is going to be adjusted. So these posts, the tip of the boat, we don't want that. So back to my magic wand, hold Alt. And deselect the parts that we don't want to adjust. I'm going to increase my tolerance to make this a bit easier. And just making sure I'm getting all the bits that I don't want to adjust. Okay. Now back into Image, Adjustments, Levels. Here's our histogram again. And I want to bring out the shadows, the darker spots in this photo. Press OK. Turn my clouds back on. Okay, so now the photo has been touched up. Here's the before, and here's our after.